And are we live? I think we're live. Are we live? Okay, I think we're live. Yep. Hey name tags and welcome. This is Ash from Heal My Tech. I think we're live. Checking on my phone. Let me know if we are. And if you're new here on... Why is this nonsense? Why am I getting that? Come on. Are we live? Anyone? Hello? I think we are. Right. Hey name tags and welcome. This is Ash from Heal My Tech. And on this channel, I want to help you develop a better relationship with technology. So if you're new here, find the subscribe button somewhere or down there. Subscribe and click the bell icon. Also, there's going to be Amazon affiliate links in the description below. If you use them, it's not going to cost you anything extra. You'll help out the channel. So who have we got? We've got Games News. Welcome, and you're the first to comment. Congratulations. I'll give you a prize. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe just a picture. Okay. So... this is my regular Thursday live stream at 5 p.m. UK time and 12 p.m. Eastern time. What we're doing at the moment, we are taking questions from the Troubleshoot A Computer Series. It's based on a 10-part video series, including, no, actually, there's also an introduction part, and I've done 2 already in the past 2 weeks, so check them out if you want. There are going to be links below. So how it goes is I take that video, and today we're doing part 2, which is the power supply unit, how to troubleshoot that. And I've removed all the fluff from the original video, and I'm going to play that back in the first part of this live stream. This video, I think, is about 13 minutes and 15 seconds. This is just to give you the context of what we're going to be talking about today. And if you haven't seen it before, this is your chance. And also, we've removed all the fluff from there, which means it's going to be a lot more concise and give you a lot of the information. Hello, Desambo Killer, how are you? So let me know where you're from and what you're doing today. So that's the first part. In the next part, then, I'm going to be answering any of your questions based on that video if you have any. And then in the third part, I'm going to answer questions from the video which was asked by viewers, which I may or may not have answered already. So we're going to go through this, and then in the last part we are going to take questions from you guys. You can ask me anything from personal to professional, although I'm going to mix both of them, and I'm probably going to bullcrap you. I'm hoping not, but still you can ask me and we see. You can just have a chat, you know what I'm saying, and I'll give you some updates. So sounds good? Right, so in the next few seconds I'm going to play back that video, which is going to be 13 minutes and 15 seconds long, and if you want to chat in the meantime, feel free. I will try to answer as best as possible. Also, if anyone wants to give me super chat, more than welcome. We need it for the channel to put it back into the channel, so let me know. And let's just play the first part of our session today. And I'm going to switch over to my display in webcam, and as soon as it's on, we're going to start that. So this is the continuation of the Troubleshoot series, and today is part 2, where I show you all problems with the power supply unit, which comes from the back. So let's talk about the symptoms of why would you know that it's to do with the power supply as opposed to any of the other 9 or 10 components I mentioned. First, obvious symptoms: if you go and switch it on, there's absolutely no activity. So there is no fan spinning, no LED lights, and nothing is moving, completely dead. Most definitely it's going to be a power issue. But here's a question. Because the power comes from the back into the power supply, and the front, like I mentioned in the previous video, also is responsible to turning the computer on, which one do you test first? Do you test the power supply or do you test the front panel? The reality is very difficult for me to tell you which one to go with first, because it will depend on a few things, like 1, what do you have to test with? 2, how easily accessible is the front panel or even the power supply? 3, how quickly you can actually do each test? And 4, the actual history of the device just before you had the problem. If it's your own device and you know it was working fine the day before, in the middle of an application you had a bang, most likely it's going to be the power supply. You're going to have to test that first. But if it's a new device and you don't know the history, and the client or the owner of the computer doesn't tell you or doesn't remember what happened, or if you've transferred components from a different case, it might be difficult to know which one to start with. In reality, you should actually do both. But most of the time for me, I have a power supply lying around, and it's very easy for me to just unplug the 24 pin mains and also the 4 or 8 pin for the CPU, and just plug in a good known working power supply, and I can quickly test that. First point here, very important, I say you have to test things with a known working device, because many people make the assumption they are suspecting power supply is dead. Okay, so they buy a new one and it comes packaged, even if it's a branded name one, and they plug it in to test and nothing happens. So they assume the power supply was fine, but something else in the computer is dead. And that is a wrong assumption. Everything that is manufactured has a small percentage within a usually acceptable margin of error that is going to be defective from the production line itself. It happens, so don't make that assumption. True, it shouldn't happen most of the time, but it does happen. So if you plug something in to test, make sure you know it's working for sure. And the only way to do this is if you have tested it just before you take it for test, test it and test it again in that thing that was working before, just to make sure it's working. It's also called calibration. So after I test for the power supply, if it's still not turning on, that's when I go to the front bit to check the power button, to check the cable, etc. So I did a previous video on the topic. It was called, I think, something like dead PC, computer not turning on. So in that video, what we did first, you're going to need to find the source of your electrical input, and you're going to need to test the cable or even from the mains plug. And two ways to do this. The easy way is to plug the cable into, again, a known working device and turning on. If it works, brilliant, you can continue the test. If it doesn't work, then you're going to know maybe there's a problem with that cable, or even from your mains you're going to have to test that. At this stage, if you have a multimeter, it's a great idea to quickly test AC voltage. Now this is Mastec MS8268, bought from Amazon for about £22. I'm going to leave a link below in the description. You can of course choose any other make and model of a digital multimeter, but these ones are auto ranging, and which means you don't have to mess with the voltage, especially for beginners. It's brilliant. So before you proceed, make sure you're grounding yourself. Work on a non-static electrical surface like wood is fine. Unplug and switch off everything. We're going to first test the plug to make sure the correct voltage is coming in through from the mains. Here we've got 3 pins, which is neutral, earth and live. We're going to test neutral and live. In UK, the average voltage range between 216.2 to 253 volt, but the average is about 230 or 240, and it will vary during the day. There's a tolerance of -6% to +10%. On your digital multimeter, turn the dial to the AC voltage, which is V with a squiggly line on this model. So next thing is you're going to make sure that you place the black probe into the neutral part, and the right probe we're going to place it into the live part. And if everything's okay, it's giving us a reading of 241.8, which is perfect. It's within a decent range. So I am now okay with getting the right voltage into this plug. In that video, I also show you what do you do if you don't have a multimeter or if you don't have a spare power supply to test with. And in which case, what we did was we did what's called the paperclip test. Essentially, we plug it into the mains. Before that, we bridge the green and the black cable and to try and short it, and then we turn the power on. So we did find out that in my power supply wasn't working because it wouldn't turn on, and we tested with a power supply which does work using the paperclip method. Next thing, what we're going to do, put that on the side, we are going to take our power supply, which is currently still disconnected and unplugged, and on the power supply you're going to see there is 24 pins, and they are color coded. There are some power supplies which will have only 20 pins, and there are blue, orange, green, black, there's a gray, some more reds and black, and on the other side there is yellow, orange, there's a purple, gray, black, red, another black, red, black, and orange to finish off with. So we're going to use this chart here. I'm going to put a link below in the description. Shows us 2 different power supply. The left one is for a 20 pin connector, and the right one is for a 24 pin connector, and each color coded connector has a different voltage. So there's positive and negative, and the black ones are ground. The green one is to create a bridge between one of the black and the green, and that to turn the power supply on. The gray one is for power good. It measures voltage coming in and it tells the computer that all the voltage is okay. So we're not going to be testing for that one. But the rest is a combination of 3.3 volts, 12 volts and 5 volts, both positive and negative. So before you turn the power supply on, grab your metal pin, place one side of the pin into the green and the other side into any black. You could literally choose any black that you want. I'm choosing this side for convenience, but there's also black on the other side, and that's totally up to you if you want to do that. So make sure you do this with everything switched off and unplugged, right? And although this metal is not dangerous, I would not advise touching it, just to be safe. With the power supply switched off, we're going to plug it in, and if the power supply is working, once you turn the switch on, you see the fan spinning, and we can see the fan spinning, so we're all good. Now we can proceed with the testing. So what you're going to do now is you're going to select the DC voltage, which is the V with the straight line underneath, and you're going to use the black probe to plug into one of the black ports, which is the first one from this end, and my assistant is going to hold it, and we're going to take some reading. Hopefully we're going to follow this chart, and from the end it's going to be, we're going to be reading from there, which is the ground. So the next one we're going to read is the red, the three reds at 5 volts each, and we're going to work our way up, and then we're going to do the other side. So let's go for it. Plugged on DC, and we're going to test. The next one is a red. I'm expecting 5 point something volt, 5.14. Yeah, there's a tolerance of plus or minus 4%, and it's well within the range. So if you get anything between 4.8 to 5.2 is fine. Right, next one, and the red again, 5.14, perfect. Next one, 5.14 again, perfect. Next one is the gray. I'm going to avoid that. Next one is the black. You don't need to do this. Next one is black again. No need to do this. These two are being bridged, so we move on again. The one after is black, so no need, and the one before last is the blue. Now the blue is giving me negative 11.92. My chart says it should be about negative 12. That's perfect. So the range here is going to be 11.52 to 12.48. So that's perfect. And last is the orange, and we're getting a reading of 3.381, and the range should be between 3.168 to 3.432, because this is a 3.3 volt test. So perfect. So this side everything is okay. Now we're going to switch to the other side, and to make it easy, my assistant is going to switch hands and making sure you're still not touching that, and we're going to plug the probe into one of the black ones. We're going to use the one just next to this one. Okay, so this one. Right, we are testing from the top. Should be 3.3 volt orange, so we've got 3.381, perfect. Next is the yellow, should be 5, sorry, it should be 12.12, that's perfect. Next, under the yellow should be 12 something, yep, 12.13. The purple, it should be positive 5, yep, positive 5. Gray we don't need to do, black we don't need to do, red 5.14, perfect. Next to the black we don't need to do. Next one is a red, 5.14 again, excellent. And then black we don't need to do. Orange 3.38, excellent. And the last one 3.38, excellent. So this was how you test a power supply using a digital multimeter, and there is a further test we can do whilst plugging this onto a motherboard to test whether the motherboard is getting the correct voltage, which I'm going to do in a future video. What I did not show in that test, and what I did not explain, was that this test will only show whether the power supply is turning on or not, but if it turns on, it will not test for whether it's delivering the correct voltage, and that is an advanced troubleshoot test that you need to do.
According to many, using a multimeter to test DC voltage is not a conclusive test, as the PSU need to be tested under load, which require other equipment I do not currently have. If you do and you possess the know-how, hit me up for a collab, or else you need to wait for when I can actually do a proper test.
The other thing as well is you could use what's called a power supply tester,
and you can buy those from eBay or Amazon. Now, I've never used one of them, so I can't recommend a specific make and model. From what I know from people who have used them, there are a couple of issues. Number one being that most of them that you're going to buy is going to be a very standard power supply tester, which only can test for a 20 or 24 pin power supply connector. As I've told you before, some proprietary designs from brand manufacturers like Acer, HP or Dell, they have weird power supply shapes and non-standard ATX power supplies, and those will not fit in those standard testers, so it's going to be difficult to do that. The other reason is that a digital multimeter is so much more versatile. It has so many more functions. The four main ones that I use most of the time is, continuity, ohms, AC and DC voltage, and those help me to fix a lot of electrical problems. But with a power supply tester, you're only going to be able to test standard ATX size power supply, so there's not much point for me to do that. Also, the other thing is I've heard, and again I have no experience, that they are not always very reliable, so you wouldn't know whether the power supply tester is giving you the correct results or not. What can happen if you're using a bad power supply? Some issues, like obviously it can take out some of your other components, but even worse, and I've heard, I haven't had personal experience with this, that it can set something on fire, even your whole PC, and obviously damage to yourself or people around you or even property. So it can be dangerous, although the rate should be diminishing by now, because hopefully most of you guys now will not be using dodgy, cheap and power supplies. So the advice is, if you're going to get a power supply to test, get a branded one, get from a reputable seller with very good warranty period, and always a good idea to have one of these, so you can test them even on purchase to see whether it's functioning properly. So that's it for today's video. In the next video, we're going to be tackling the processor or CPU issues.
Okay, I hope that was clear, and I think we got a question. Let me just sort my little picture. So just to recap before I answer your question at Design Book Killer, the short clip you just watched is a combination of 3 videos. One is the dead computer not turning on. The second one was the summary of the original for this, which means how to troubleshoot a PSU from the Troubleshoot series, and the third one was part of the supposedly advanced PSU troubleshoot, which means manually checking with a multimeter. So I do need to reiterate, a lot of you have asked and some of you have commented that doing a manual test with a multimeter is not going to be sufficient if your power supply is giving out the wrong voltage. The manual test will only do whether it's working or not, whether it's turning on or not, even whether the right voltage is coming on at base operation, not under load. For that, one, I do not have the equipment. 2, even if I did have the equipment, I've never done it before, so I'm going to need some expert help. 3, I've looked for a tutorial online, haven't seen anything really that shows how to do this, so I'm really curious, and I really want to do this, so I'm going to get in touch with a few tech professionals, whether it's companies or even the what's it called, the power supply manufacturers, and see if we can book some sort of time with them and to go and film this tutorial, because I'm really curious to know. I've had a few dodgy power supplies over the years, and we really want to know how we can test, so we'll make a good video hopefully. But if you have this know-how and if you have the equipment, let me know, get in touch with me, we'll do a collab. All right, so where are we? Let's take this question from Desambo Killer. Okay, I have a quick question. My PC keeps crashing while gaming. At times it only freezes for like 30 seconds, but as soon as it takes longer it crashes, resulting in blue screen. I've tried literally everything from right, Desambo, you haven't continued from what? You've tried everything from, and then you said, in addition, I lose momentarily all audio when it comes to back. It's my input and output are resetted. For example, in Discord is detected. Okay, so you've got 2 issues here. You've got your power supply probably, and your PC is crashing, and then you got audio as a result of this crash. Now you're gonna have to tackle 2 things. Okay, and the audio, I'm guessing you're using a Windows-based computer, and there are a lot of reasons why your audio could go wrong, and I can't really tell you from this end because we need to do tests. But your main problem is going to be your power crashing. Right, So you haven't told me what exactly have you done as a test. I think you were mentioning, but you did not complete it because I think the space ran out. Okay, this started like a month ago until everything was working just fine. All right. So the Zambo killer, if you can finish exactly, tell me exactly step by step what you've done so far, because I don't want to repeat some of the things we've said on the channel unless you haven't mentioned, you haven't come across it before. So finish your question, okay? While you do this, I'm going to take now, if you haven't got any more questions, I'm going to take questions from the actual video, which people had asked. This is the Troubleshoot a PC Power Supply Part 2 from the series, okay? Right, the first, no, I don't think you guys can see. Here you go. Now, I hope you can see. The first question, more of a comment, is from Ayman Arif. Multimeter is too hard to use. I found a PSU power tester on shop. It's very cheap. You can test 24 pin and 8 or 4 pin on that. If the cable is okay, then there are some LED will turn on. Well, nice video. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Shu, I mentioned in the video you can get yourself a PSU tester. Like he mentioned, you can test 24 pin, 8 pin and 4 pin, and hopefully it works fine. I know that in some companies, if they have a lot of power supplies to test, this will be a first base test they would do, but it will not be an ultimate test, a conclusive test, because it has limitations. By all means, if you have one, do that, but I still maintain that you can do that, but you should also, as a computer person, as a tech savvy guy, girl, whatever you are, that you should try and learn to use a multimeter, because a multimeter will have so much more functions and you will be able to test so much more in your home. Like if you need to do continuity tests, you can't do this with a power supply tester. But by all means, I get what you're saying, and maybe I'll get one day and we'll do some tests on that and do a bit of a review. Okay. Right, next question was from Dawood or Dawood 711. So I have a question. I have a PUS or PSU, you mean, of 650 watt, but my electricity is low, about 150 volt to 160 volt. What will you recommend me? Can I use a stabilizer to run my CPU? Okay, first of all, I am aware that in some other countries the AC voltage is lower. Here in UK we have about 230 to 40 watts. So because I don't have practical experience in this, I'm not entirely clear about what you're asking. What will you recommend me? Recommend you in terms of what power supply to get? Because you haven't specified the question. In terms of can you use a stabilizer to run your PC, again, I've never used a stabilizer for power regulation, for voltage, so I can't give you this advice. This is gonna have to be coming from a qualified electrician. This is to do with electricity, not necessarily electronics, because I'm not also an electronics expert. But what I would say to you, if you have these kind of voltages, and if you do want to protect your computers, and if you have power surges regularly in your area, then it is absolutely worth looking into getting a stabilizer, of course. But I cannot recommend you a make or model because I haven't used one before. Okay, so but please ask a qualified electrician. Okay, the Zambo Killer, if you're still here, I'm still waiting for your full set of troubleshoot that you've done. If not, I'm going to give you some generic thing, because that's happened to me before. I can tell you what I did, but if you could give me a bit more specifications, that'd be great. All right. Oh, you're here. So the Zambo Killer is writing. Let's go back to the webcam. I have tried clean install driver reinstallation, taking everything out, cleaning the insides out of the dust. DDU, okay, your driver uninstall, booting Windows in the mode which boot it as that as possible. All right, okay, I get what you're saying. So you've done some pretty much standard tests that you can do if it was a software issue. Unfortunately, you haven't done a hardware test. In your case, this is very similar to what happened to me, and I had a computer which wasn't working properly for 3 weeks. I kept crashing and restarting, especially when I was doing heavy CPU tasks like video editing and testing some games. And I initially did a test of what I'm teaching you guys in this series, but I skipped the power supply test, although I did a power supply test, but I did not do a thorough power supply test because I overstepped that bit, and I could not work it out until I started the test again and I did a better power supply test, and that turned out to be a problem. It was the Corsair VS550 CX series, I think. No, the Corsair CX750X, I think. Okay, I'll link the video in the description below. Again, a lot of people found the same problem. Do not skip the power supply test like we've done here. But again, that test, when I did the multimeter test, it only showed me that the power supply was actually working, but it was not working well under load, because that was the problem. So how are you going to test for this? Unfortunately, if you haven't got the voltage regulation tester, you're gonna have to get a non-working power supply to test with, and I'm hoping you can have a warranty return on your existing one. If it's a branded one like we had with Corsair, twice I've returned something within 3 years and they did return and replace it. But other than that, you have to test the power supply before you can move to other things, because obviously it could be your RAM, it could be CPU, it could be the motherboard, it could be something else, but most likely in your case is a power supply. Also, you haven't told me what benchmarking tests have you done. So I'm guessing if this is happening, if you start a benchmark test like Prime 95 or Unigine Valley or Cinebench, whatever it is, for a burn-in test, your PC will probably crash. And again, you should do some software tests, some CPU stress test, but I'm guessing it's your power supply. So find yourself a non-working power supply which you can test independently, and then test with that. Hopefully that should solve your problem. So yeah, all right, now let's take the next question on the video. Okay, all right. Shad says, I tested my Cooler Master 700 watt power supply with digital multimeter. The voltage values reading is 12 volt 1197, minus 12 volt 1188, 3.3 volt 3.34. And I want to know if my PSU is good condition, as it is not delivering the exact voltages value as mentioned on the PSU body. Okay, Shad, so two things. Number one, you want to know if your PSU is delivering the exact voltages, but you haven't mentioned whether you're having any issues with your computer. Okay, it's not clear. Also, the values you've mentioned, they seem quite within range of the acceptable margin of error, which is going to be about 4 to 5% each way. So they look fine to me as far as I can tell. So if your computer is working fine, I wouldn't worry about it. This is absolutely acceptable. But if you, like the previous person, the Zambo Killer, if your computer is crashing under load especially, then you're gonna have to do some tests, and unfortunately, again, if you don't have the right equipment, you can't do those load tests. All right, okay, let's go to the next question. Mr. Maimon, oh no, sorry, someone else. I have a Dell Inspiron 15R laptop. It is dead with a steady power light. Customer said if you power it off with a button, it won't start for 6 hours. Wow. So naturally I had to recreate it after virus removal and tune up and fix Wi-Fi driver issues. I had reset it and now 5 days it won't come back on any ideas. Okay, that is a weird one. For your one, it seems to be an issue with power, definitely. I'm going to take a guess and I'm going to say that possibly you may have a, your charger for your laptop is dodgy, and I don't know if you've tested the charger. Again, we've done on the channel, you can test AC voltage and DC voltage. However, there's also an amp test, which I haven't done on the channel, lack of equipment. But if I were you, I would get a non-working charger to test that with. Now, the second thing that could be wrong with it, your battery is, maybe inputting some wrong voltage again, and that's wrongly distributing it to your laptop. But my best guess is, since it seems to be like not turning on for a few days, it could be an IC chip, the integrated circuit on your motherboard which is dodgy and it's to do with power regulation and power voltage. So that you're going to need to take it to a specialist to have it tested if it's worth it. If it's an old laptop, it's going to cost you a lot of money to get that tested and repaired. So I would say to you, if you can, just back up your files just in case, please. Alright. Okay, Desambo Killer. Alright, thanks a lot. Okay, I hope you got it, yeah? So yeah, you've skipped the power supply test. Do that and let me know, please. Follow up. Send me an email or a comment, whatever it is. Also, if you're lucky, if you have problems with this, we might actually be able to do a live troubleshoot with you if you know, if you want to do this. So let me know how it goes. Alright. Someone's asking the MDX. Hey man, my PC is in problem. Whenever I turn it on, it turns off after 10 seconds. Can you help me? Alright. Guys, if you've been here before, you know that we're trying to ask people to ask questions that we can actually answer. I don't want you to ask questions and then I have to ask you 10 questions to understand. Right? There's nothing I can do for you, the MDX, because you have not been clear in your problem. You haven't told me what you've done. You haven't told me it turns off after 10 seconds, but what do you do after? Okay, so if you watch our previous 2 videos, you'll see that this could have many causes. It could be your case, it could be your power supply, it could be your RAM. So you have to start troubleshooting, hard reset, and eventually if you do a few troubleshoot and it's still not working out, you're gonna have to breadboard the whole computer to its bare minimum on a non-static work surface and do a minimum connection of device for post and take it from there. So do these and let me know, okay? But I'm guessing it's to do with your probable power supply as well. In rare occasions, RAM and CPU, or maybe motherboard. Again, you have to test. Okay, next, Mr. Maimon, where is the scenario number 2 problem solutions, please? I don't think you're referring to this video. I think you're talking about scenario number 2 in our last video, which was to do with the power which was to do with the case could be a result of not turning on. I'm not clear what you mean by scenario 2, but or do you mean? So I'm not clear. Please, can you let me know exactly what was number 2 problem, because I don't remember if it was in this video. I've looked at the video today. I couldn't see any number 2 problem mentioned. Okay. Sotinu, please reply. My mobile LED turns orange, no fan spinning until I press the fan checker on my PSU. My PC is from Dell. My PSU working. So your LED turns orange, no fan spinning. Fan checker on PSU. PC is from Dell. PSU working. Right. If your PSU is working, I'm assuming you say the fan is spinning and is delivering some voltage, but you don't know whether it's delivering the correct voltage. So again, you're gonna have to remove the PSU, do a hard reset, and try to get a different PSU to test with that. If that doesn't work, if the PSU is still correctly working, then you need to be breadboarding that PC. So remove RAM, reseat, remove CPU. It could be a fan problem, it could be a screw in the case. So again, guys, look, if so many things can go wrong with these reasons, this is why I've done this series. But if you're not doing the test in the order, especially in the 10 parts we mentioned, you can't ask me a single line questions because I can't answer you. You have to tell me what you've done. If not, hopefully by the end of this series I will combine them again into one long video, but without the fluff, and we'll upload this. Okay. There's a question here from Yudish Ramkal 1. Can you explain us how to change a platter to a hard disk and where we can buy all the tool? Alright, so first of all, if you're going to open a hard drive, you need to make sure it's within a protected, controlled environment, which is dust free. Should be like a lab. I would not advise normally unless you're desperate and you have to get your data, or the disk is damaged and you can't afford a data recovery center. You should never be in a situation where you have to open up a hard drive. As soon as you open a hard drive, there will be contaminants and dust particles, and you can possibly damage your disk, i.e. your data, beyond repair. Okay, that's number 1. But even before number 1, you should always be backing up all your data. Alright, because of the reason. But if you want to know where to buy hard disk and platter, now to be fair, this you can buy if you find the chip at the back of your hard drive and find the exact serial number for the make and model of your hard drive. You can input this in any platform: eBay, Google, Amazon, Gumtree, Craigslist, whatever. People do sell them because this is the best place to get replacement parts which are going to be compatible. There are people who do buy them in bulk, and they deal with extensively repairing hard drive. But your other place would be an actual data recovery center. They probably will have those parts. But I would think twice if I were you in trying to fix it yourself if you have not done this before. Even the thing that reads, the magnet and the little head pin that reads is very delicate, and you can easily bend this. So if you open it, be very careful. Okay. Now let's take a question from another person just joining. Hassan, wa alaikum salam, brother. My desktop computer goes into black screen. Sometimes it has 2 separate 2 GB RAM. When you say 2 separate 2 GB RAM, you mean 4 in total. Okay. Windows 10. When it works, only one RAM stick doesn't go black screen. Will that be RAM? RAM not compatible with each other. All right, Hassan. From what I understand, you've put 2 different types and size and frequency and make of RAM. Is that correct? So you've got 2 completely different configuration, right? So a few questions on this. Number 1, does your motherboard actually take more than 2 GB of RAM? I'm hoping it does. Number 2, why are you using 2 different ones? Could you not find the same one? Is it a question of affordability and availability? And number 3, what happens when you switch the RAM and the slot? Does it go black screen all the time, or only when you are putting one of them in? And number 4, have you done a test MEM86 test? Because it looks quite simple to me. It's most likely either one of your RAM slot doesn't work, or one of your RAM doesn't work, or one of your RAM doesn't work for the configuration of your motherboard. Yes, but both 2 GB. Okay, Hassan, they can be the same size, as in 2 GB, 2 GB. But again, what RAM is this? Is this DDR, DDR2, DDR3? Can you let me know? While you do this, I'm gonna answer another question from the video. Okay, Jackson Kimu, help. Hey, I tested the PSU by connecting the green to black. The fan works. If I remove the HDD and press on power switch, the CPU fan spins a little, but no LED. Motherboard, MSI, power was going on enough continuously before the problem began. Kindly, I need your help. Okay, all right. Right, so you've done the PSU paperclip method. So all that tells you is whether your power supply actually turns on or not. Is it completely dead, or it's got some life? Again, like in this video we mentioned, what it's not going to tell you is whether it's delivering the correct voltage. But even if it is, I would advise you, because you're not sure, you need to find a non-working power supply, because you have to eliminate the power supply as the issue. And then you're talking about, if I remove the hard disk drive and press on power switch, the CPU fan spins a little but no LED. Okay. Now, Jackson, are you getting a post without the hard disk drive? And I hope you can find a video that we did how to test for post. It's really important. What you need to do is get another power supply and remove the hard disk drive completely, breadboard the whole thing, and test for post, because only then you can tell whether it's to do with one of your components or it's to do with something else. And until you do this, you can't move forward. So please do this and get back to me. Okay, Hassan, what's the name of the test? Both DDR3. Okay, DDR3. It's called MEM86 test. It's for RAM. Usually it's a small file. If you Google it, MEM86 test, you will have to download a small file, and you will have to put this on a USB and then boot into your computer and then do a RAM test. Some computer manufacturers, they have this built in if you're coming from a boutique or a proprietary one, like HP, Dell, Acer, whatever. But the MEM86 test is a good one to do if you haven't got a pre-installed software for that. But what I would do if I was in your shoes, if you can find a a friend, family who has similar motherboard compatibility with DDR3 RAM, and test each RAM one at a time in their system. I can't tell you exactly, but that's what I would do, and it's very easy to come to a conclusion once you test one RAM and then the second RAM in their system, and then back into your own system, and then see if it's still doing a dodgy thing. But again, please do the MEM86 test if you can. Okay. Right. Next on our video, Hassan Ali Raz. My power supply is okay, but still PC is not turning on. Looks like motherboard is not working. Okay. I had Thunderbolt when my Ethernet cable was plugged in the motherboard, but the PC was off. So how to check or fix motherboard issue? Please help. All right. So Hassan Ali, the motherboard test is number 4 of our Troubleshoot series, part 4. Okay, you'll find the link in the description for that. But again, before you can come to the motherboard test, you have to eliminate power supply, because you're saying again it's okay, but how unless you've taken this power supply and put it in a different system to test it there. But you have to eliminate power supply, processor, even RAM, and then to be able to do motherboard test. Maybe the motherboard test is part 5, I'm not sure. Check the description below. But just to answer you very briefly, you have to test one thing at a time. But there's also a motherboard tester you can get. They're not completely foolproof, but it might give you an idea. But I would not do this if I were you until I've made sure that 1, the power supply is working correctly, 2, that your RAM has been reseated, and maybe even your CPU, if you can test that, because the motherboard, to test it, you have to remove it from the computer, completely breadboard it, and then do all these tests. Unfortunately, the motherboard is the most difficult thing to test and also to repair. In most cases, a bad motherboard, it's easier and cheaper in most cases, there are exceptions, to just replace it. Okay. Hassan, no problem, bro. And Yudish from Kalaman, thank you so much, bro. Love you too, bro. Thank you for asking and joining in. And right, yeah, and that's it. I think that's all the questions from the video. Now let us do some live Q&A. Let's have a chat, guys. Tell me, what can I do you for? Feel free to drop me some questions down while you're doing this. I will tell you. In my second last video last week, I uploaded a video called what am I doing wrong on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, I would please ask you to go and watch it, because I need some sincere feedback. You can feel free to roast me. I need some comments. I want to improve the subjective quality of the videos of the channel. The channel is not doing very well at all. It could be my fault, it could be the content. I'm trying to change that. Consistency used to be a problem, but I've changed this since last year now. And I know there's a lot of improvements to be done. Now, to reiterate, this series, when I did it about 2 years ago, there's a lot of things to improve on that. There's a lot of dead space in between that time, and fluff and rubbish talking and too much repetition. So at the end of this weekly live session, I'm going to combine them into one video, as well as releasing each video, because it's going to be much shorter with a lot more information, and then someday hopefully we'll make them even in a more professional manner. All right, how long have we been chatting for? Almost 45 minutes. I'm getting tired, and if you haven't got any question, unless you just want to chat, let me know what I can do for you. This year I want to do some more software based stuff. probably teaching how to use certain software for content creation. And you guys have requested a lot of gaming builds, like budget ones especially, and I really want to do this. I have a few things to get rid of because my place is a mess. Once I've done this, I think I'm gonna do hopefully a complete series, like build after build after build every week, a new gaming PC build. Not the brand new, because these are big channels. I can afford these things. We're gonna do hopefully some budget, some alternative and affordable ones, and I'm hoping we can get you guys involved to do some sort of giveaway. I don't know if every week we can do this, but I would love your input to see how we can do this as a giveaway, as long as the channel benefits. Hassan, you're asking, how's the weather like? Am I in London? I do live now in Ireland. I used to live in Wolverhampton. Okay, London right now is grey, as you know. It's not really too cold at the moment. We've been expecting snow, but nothing's happening. So, what part of Ireland are you living at? Northern or southern? I've only been to Dublin once to try to look for a job, but I didn't take it. But let me know, okay? Anyone else? If you've just joined in, welcome. So to tell you that we will keep this live weekly session on Thursdays at the moment at 5 p.m. which is 5 p.m. UK, and 12 p.m. EST, which is Eastern Time. So today we've done part 2. Next one's going to be part 3. And for the next 8 weeks, this will be to do with the Troubleshoot series. Okay, so if you have questions, especially if you have other problems with other tech stuff that I've covered on the channel, feel free to join, and you can ask the questions. But please, I'm going to remind you, go watch the first video on the series 2 weeks ago. Please ask questions that I can actually answer. If you don't give me details, and if you don't tell me what troubleshooting you've done, if your question isn't clear, eventually we're going to be very rude, because it's impossible to keep repeating and to keep asking you 10 questions when you're not asking the relevant questions. But what I've also said, I want to find a platform that I can maybe allow you and enable you to plug in your questions properly, maybe even have a short video of your presentation of your tech problem, so we can answer and live troubleshoot it. Which reminds me, I'm looking for collaboration. Now, I know some of you guys might be new YouTubers or much more seasoned YouTubers than myself, and if you want to collaborate with me, I would do that, no problem, as long as you've got something of value to offer both our audience. I don't need to stick just with tech. I do want to venture into a bit more other subtopics, because let's just face it, the channel, we've got close to 55,000 subscribers, but like I mentioned in my last video, in my rant about what am I doing wrong on YouTube, some videos don't even reach 1,000 views, which means our subscribers not watching. So maybe we need to branch out. So I will feel free. I want to experiment into more stuff. Okay, Hassan is saying, regarding the YouTube channel, Daily Routine is doing well right now in Morocco, is trending. Okay, Hassan, do you have a YouTube channel? Can you link me, and what do you do? And why are you saying Daily Routine is doing well compared to what, like 3 times a week, or once a week, or once a month? Yudish Ram Kalwan, yes bro, we all want some real budget gaming PC. Okay, Yudish, you want to see a video about budget gaming PC, or you want to get a budget gaming PC? It's not very clear. Remember, ask proper questions and you shall be answered. You know what I'm saying? Hassan, I live northwest town called Letterkenny. Northwest. Northwest. Okay, I see. Right. How do you deal with the accent? I was a nurse for 10 years, and my first exposure to the Irish people, lovely people, but it took me a long time to get used to the accent, and obviously I don't have an English accent neither. But my God, especially the Dublin one was the worst for me. But I love their accent now. I can't get enough of it. Just to tell you, you guys know this little story from me. Story time. I used to be a nurse. I did a video 2 years ago. I was a qualified nurse, registered mental health nurse for 10 years in the NHS. And I'm relatively new to tech. I'm self-taught through YouTube, of course. And about 6 years ago, that's when I started looking into tech stuff. So yeah, that's probably sometimes why you see me a bit hesitating to do other things, because I need to learn a lot of stuff. But also, I've come a long way. Not taking credit for me being superior, I'm actually giving credit to platforms like YouTube. It's unbelievable what you can learn from YouTube and make, you can turn anything, if you have some time, turn it into a career. It's brilliant, into a business. It's really cool. Oh God, it's tiring talking. So, anyone else? Any comments? Any questions? Any roasting? Guys, please roast me today. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. This, for example, this series, um, can I improve it? Nope. Okay. Have I missed any questions? Let's find out. Dun, 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 dun. No, I haven't missed any questions. Okay, I'm going to take my leave soon because there are no more questions. I don't know what else I need to tell you. Hopefully tomorrow I will be uploading a video of some sort. Not sure about the topic yet. So that's it. I think I'm going to thank you now. So before you go, just remember next week, same time, 5 p.m. Okay, we're not done. Hassan said, I used to be active in YouTube. Your name is Basal2025. You can check it. Don't go anywhere, bro, because we are gonna check it right now. Okay, wait. We are gonna switch to our here, and I'm gonna open one. Right? We are checking it right now. You know what I'm saying? That's like, call it my shout out to you. 301 subscribers. Congratulations. 70 videos. Jeez, man. You've been busy. Okay, so what's your videos about? Let's see. You have no about section. Ah, come on. Should we play one of your videos? Yeah. Okay, 44 seconds. One. No, we're gonna play your most popular video. How's that? Let's give you a shout out. Hey, maybe we can do this as a weekly thing as well, maybe a second live stream or the same one. If you guys have a YouTube channel and you want to get a shout out, although we are relatively small, but you got to start somewhere, come over here, we'll have some fun. We'll roast you, we'll roast together, we'll give shout outs. We'll just do some sort of things like vidIQ does, but we'll do it better, you know what I'm saying, because we'll be a bit more stupid. Okay, 61,000 views 5 years ago on Samsung Galaxy Tab 2. All right, let's play it. It's only 3 minutes.
Hello YouTube, this is Samsung Galaxy 3110 running CM11, which is Android KitKat. So I'm going to power on the device to see if they fixed the bot animation, because before there was some sort of graphical issues with it. So I'm going to power on. So let's hit point on now. And this is just a video on basically how this Android KitKat or Android 4.4 runs on this device, and in description below I'm going to put how actually to do it, plus the links. So as you can see now, that's the boot animation, Cyanogen mode. We'll wait for it.
I'm so sorry. I've just realized that my microphone was off. Sorry, Elantrixito6969 said, hi, my PC is turning off randomly. I think the power supply killed the RAM slots. It was dropping blue screens, but it stopped doing that and just turning off directly. Okay. If you think it's the power supply, have you tested the power supply? You have to do this before you do anything else. And if you think the RAM slot is dead, or again, test your RAM sticks in a different computer. Again, you're saying you think, but you haven't said exactly have you done those tests or not. So please do these tests and come back to us. All right? Okay, no problem. And right now we're gonna check another video of Hassan. He's least viewed, 5 views. All right. Oh, you're so lazy, man. You're just filming. You're you saying nothing. All right. Why is he so? You're so lazy. At least some comments. Maybe you say at the end. I don't know. We're taking the Mickey. I'll be feel free to roast me as well. I'm done some pretty dodgy stuff. Okay. All right. No problem. Anyone else has any YouTube channel they want us to check? We'll roast them. Come on. Anyone else? Let me go through these names. Maybe someone has a YouTube channel. Udish. Have you got a YouTube channel? Come on. Don't be shy. Do you? Maybe you don't. All right. Okie dokie. Oh, gear best to get points. Oh, you mean like if you do a review, you get points? Fair enough. No problemo. So Hassan, are you gonna get back into your YouTube stuff? If you do, I can see that your thumbnails need a bit of work. That's the same thing people have told me. So I need to improve on that. But yeah, feel free. But pick a topic and stick with that for a while and see what you can do. All right. Okay, chaps. 2 more minutes and we're done because it's gonna be an hour. Okay. So as a last point, I'm aware that I'm supposed to start a Linux series, and I've been hesitating for many reasons. I've got my Linux already installed in my computer, but as a content creator, I haven't used it yet as a daily driver. I did try, there was a few issues, but I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore those issues. And in fact, I'm going to give you a full series starting soon, how to jump to Linux and what problems you can expect and what solutions are there. But bearing in mind, I will always keep Windows as a backup because it's a lot more stable when it comes to content creation and availability of applications. So hopefully you'll want to see that coming up for a Linux transition. Okay. So thank you guys so much for watching. Before you go, please check out the other videos on the channel, especially to the Troubleshoot series, and also my previous video. Give me some feedback how I can improve the channel to give you better content. Also, if you want collaboration, hit me up, leave me a comment. If you're gonna ask questions, please ask questions in a way that I can answer you. If you have suggestions for how to make these live sessions more fun and in a collaborative way, let me know. Do not forget to use my Amazon affiliate links in the description below. They really help out the channel. I've been able to buy a couple of stuff, recently from Amazon US, especially. It does help out the channel, but I need to do a lot more. And absolutely agree with you, Hassan. YouTube needs time and creativity, but I've been on here for 5 years, but I have wasted a bit of it. But now hopefully we'll try it together with your help. So thank you so much for tuning in today. This was Ash from Hill My Tech, helping you go from newbie to techie. Do not forget to subscribe, click the bell icon, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.